Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Peeling Back the Label. We have a very special guest today, Rebecca Rosenberg, and today we're going to be talking about her Champagne Widow's book, Madame Pommery. I can't wait to get started. We've been trying to get this working. This is like, I think, the third or fourth time. So fingers crossed that it's going to work this time. I'm going to patch her in right now. Just waiting for her to come in. I did a quick intro because I thought she was waiting, but I don't see her. But so right now, I'm just going to still talk. So Madame Pommery, she was the creator of Brut, the first one, and she had to go through so many obstacles just to get it going. And she just would not stop. She just was just a badass and just kept on plunging through. No matter how many hoops she had to go through, she did it. I feel she was way ahead of her time. She just, persevered. She just wanted to get the Brut going and get it sold. And she did anything and everything she could. Oh, I can see you.
Oh, wow. That's
Oh, I'm so
cool.
happy. Okay, wait, we got to do a champagne toast because I've been waiting to drink the champagne
Oh, wow.
and I need a sip so bad.
Woohoo, woohoo. Madame
Okay. Oh, you have
Pommery.
Madame Pommery.
I'll pretend. So I am, truth be told, I'm going to a wine tasting right after this. So,
Oh,
so I did not pour myself a glass of champagne as usual. As Stephanie knows, I usually will have a beautiful glass of champagne.
you do.
Well,
That's why I have one
I
because
know.
I'm like, I cannot not have a glass of champagne with Rebecca because you
Yes.
are the champagne queen.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And well, I'm so happy that we finally connected. That's great. And I want to say to everyone who joined us to please let us know in the chat if you read audiobooks and when and how, because to be honest, I don't read books on audio. But I am shocked, Stephanie. This just came out. Madame Pommery and Champagne Widows just came out on audio. And I have
Oh,
like
the
100.
Champagne Widow's book is ready too?
Yes, it's ready too. And that's
Nice.
the one. So from the people's comments, I'm going to be giving away 5 audio tracks, or you can, if you don't do audio, I'll send you the book and we can do that on Kindle or a regular book because I'll make it extra special. Instead of one
Wow.
giveaway, I'll do 5 giveaways.
Wow. That's
And
a real treat. That's so
yeah,
nice. And you don't have to have Audible in order to get this free book. The free audiobook, correct?
I think you do have to sign up for Audible. I think you do, but it's free. So I think what if you listen to books on audio, then you can get this book. But if you haven't, then it might be a little difficult. But I have a fantastic assistant who figures this out with people. So she's really great at that. So I am so curious. I want to hear how and when people read books on audio.
Somebody
And
wrote
Stephanie,
somebody wrote
yeah.
that the whole book club does audio, only does audio, and they've been doing it for years.
Wow, that's very interesting. I have people in my book club that do it too. And they do it when they're gardening or something else. Somehow I haven't gotten into that habit. I like reading in bed or something like that. I got to turn off my little message dinger. But and I have listened to books when we're on a long trip, especially my daughter listens to books, but we don't have a big commute anymore. We used to commute, and now I work from home. So that's part of it. What about you, Stephanie? Do you
Oh,
do audio?
that's all I do.
Oh,
That's
really?
yeah. I do 90% is audio, 10% is print or Kindle. And like you said, I do it when I'm cooking, if I'm getting ready. I don't really do that much like big long commutes like you
Yeah.
anymore. But if I am away, like when I'm camping, that's like my savior because, there's really, I'll download the book. So now I have something to listen to at night. Like, when you kind of used to like watching TV, if there's no TV, I listen to books. And I think I get a lot more read when I do the audio than if I had to sit and read because I have like ADHD. I can't I can't sit for a long time and read. I love the audio books. I didn't like them in the beginning, but as I got used to it, now I can't live without. Like if I'm not listening to a book, something's wrong with me. Like I'm always
Wow.
listening to a book.
That's interesting. Well, I should do it. I should. Does anyone do it on their phone? What do you
I,
listen
I do
from?
I do it on my phone. I use the library and I use Audible. Or if I get if I get a free book, then I get a free book. But when I'm camping, I download it on my Kindle because I don't want
Oh,
to download it on my phone, because of the memory. But I'll download it on the Kindle because I don't care. And
uh-huh.
this way, I'll put a couple of books on. So this way, I have choices when I'm away.
Oh, that's very cool. And so you can do it on your Kindle. I didn't even
Yeah,
you
just
see,
download it.
I
Yep,
don't
just
even know
download the
this.
book.
So silly. But one thing that I love, so we're doing the tour of Madame Pommery, and I am
Yes.
so excited about what your reviewers are saying about it, mostly because not only do they like the book, but they love the narrator.
Yes, yes, and all 5 stars. The narrator they love the storyline, they love the book cover. Just and that, like everyone keeps on saying, she's a
Yeah.
badass. Back in her time, and they loved how you intertwined everything together. Just nothing but positive reviews.
It's really cool. But we listened, my assistant and I listened to, had to be 100 different voices for her. And we needed someone who could pronounce the French words, which I can't even probably pronounce. I looked up how they would be written, but I don't know how to pronounce them. So I wanted that to be authentic. And we lucked into this delightful Catherine Anderson, and she now lives in England. So she has a little bit of an English tilt to her voice, but she's from France. So it was, oh my God, so perfect.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was meant to be for sure.
Yeah. And it's been really, really fun. Now, doing an audiobook is difficult, by the way, for the person who's reading it and for the author because they have to understand all the characters and how they work together and what their backgrounds are. And so it's almost like the voice talent has to get inside your brain as the author and be able to pronounce everything correctly and also portray each character correctly. Can you imagine that? Trying to
I
learn
always
each.
wanted to know like how that worked. Like, did she like read the book and then like ask you
Yeah.
questions or like, I don't know the process.
Yes.
How.
They have to read the book, then they make you a big, long list of different aspects that they have questions about, and you answer all of those questions. And then you listen to a sample track and make sure that they're on track. So the first time I did this, I'll show you this book, The Secret Life of Mrs. London.
Yes.
This is on audio, and this was my first book, and this got really rave reviews, and it was done by a top-notch narrator out of New York City, and this was through my publisher. So that's when I first learned like how difficult it was. I'm like, wow, I had to answer 300 questions for her about things.
Wow.
And she had to portray Houdini and Jack London and Jack London's wife and Houdini's wife, and it's, you know, it's a lot for them to have to do. So
Yeah, and just
I
to
really
have
give them
to
credit.
change the voice in a matter of seconds. Like, Houdini could talk and then, Mrs. London can talk and you have to quickly change and, it's amazing.
Yeah, and how do you do a romance between the two of them when you're? I just think I really am amazed at it, and they have to read for 20, 25 hours. And not only, think of this, like if the book is 20 hours, they probably had to put in 40
Oh,
hours.
at
It's,
least, yeah.
yeah, it's really quite a process. I'm very impressed that it even exists. I'm surprised that it exists because it takes a lot of extra work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So now we know why it's expensive to make an audiobook.
Oh, it is
Hmm.
kind of like champagne. We'll get into that. That segues
Oh,
into why
that's
is
my cue to take
champagne.
another sip.
Yes, take another sip. Now I'm really sad that I didn't go ahead and have another glass. But I'll tell you this. First, I'll digress and tell you after this, I'm going to do one of our
Yeah, that was
favorite
one of my
things.
questions, so that's
Yeah.
good.
So we live in wine country in Sonoma, and so we have literally hundreds and hundreds of wineries to go visit. And so, obviously, if you live here, you like to pick certain kinds of experiences, and they're totally different. Each winery is actually totally different. This one that we're doing today is called, let me think, it's called Blue Farm. Blue
Oh.
Farm. And it is a very fine wine. And this winery is just a tiny little Victorian house in the middle of vineyards.
Oh.
And with roses, we picked today because all the roses are in bloom here. And so we will be sitting among the roses and the vineyards, and we will be sipping this fine wine and we will be actually talking to the winemaker
Oh, how nice.
about, yeah, how she came about picking these grapes. And that would be one reason that I wanted to write these books about the two women who really revolutionized champagne is
Hmm.
because without them, we wouldn't have so many women winemakers. We may have like 45% of women winemakers now in California. It's not unusual at all. And without these ladies who really broke the glass ceiling, we would not be there. So I toast them with that experience. But the thing that women bring to winemaking is unique and different. And actually, of course, every woman brings a different touch to it. And Madame Pommery, what she brought to it is, as you know, Stephanie, she wanted to create a whole different taste in wine that nobody had even explored before. So Veuve Clicquot, you've seen this bottle, Veuve
Hmm.
Clicquot. This was, in those days, in the 1800s, a very, very, very sweet wine. And that's what every single champagne was, just like the sweetest, almost like sugar water
Hmm.
with fizz. And so 60 years later, Madame Pommery said, I think there's room for this dry, crisp taste, and I'm going to do it. And the way she did that was very unique. First of all, she didn't add the sugar dosage. So in all champagne, they add a bit of sugar and yeast to make the fizz start, to
Hmm.
make that fermentation start. But what she did is not use so much sugar. That makes sense. But how did she get the good taste? Because in France, they actually harvest the champagne grapes really early and they're almost tart, almost like an olive is
Hmm.
tart when you pick it
Yeah.
off the tree. That's how the grapes are. They don't taste good way
Hmm.
back when in the 1800s. So what she did, that was the revolutionary and really super brave thing she did. She said, I'm going to wait until the grapes actually taste amazing. And that's how we make wine today. So what they do now, like I am looking out on the vineyards, and because we had a little trouble with our internet, I won't be able to show you that, but I'm looking at beautiful, beautiful vineyards. And what happens in August is they start tasting the grapes and they wait, and they also measure how much sugar is in the grapes, and then they
Oh,
wait until they're at the perfect, they call it brix, BRIX is what the measurement of the sugar is, and that's when they pick them. So it's very it's not something they can plan. They know
right.
it, yeah, it can be a month off. They might think they're going to pick in the 1st of August and they end up picking in the 1st of September. And so it's really touchy for these wineries that have to figure out, when do we pick the grapes? And then when they pick them, they have to crush them right away. So because they can't ferment, or they
Right.
can't get moldy and bad, like bad grapes, in your
Yeah.
refrigerator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are awful. So if you wait till then, you're going to have a terrible wine. So the thing is, we live right here in the middle of all these vineyards, and all night long for a month, all night you will have the crews all over this field and picking the grapes and going up to the winery. We live by Chateau Saint Jean Winery, and they will have the lights blaring and they will be crushing grapes all night long. And you just have to say, hey, that's where we live.
That's right.
That's the
Yeah.
excitement.
It,
Yeah,
it could it could
that's,
it could be worse. You could be living, in a farm next to a bunch of pigs,
yes,
and pew pew. So I'll
yes,
take the grapes any day.
yes. And actually, speaking of that, then after they crush the grapes, they have all those stems and all those seeds, and they dump them in big piles. And then we have the fruit fly season. So it smells like beautiful fermented grape because the stems and seeds smell so good. But then we have major fruit flies. So
Yeah, yeah. They want to get in on the
yeah,
act too.
they're very happy with all that action. And also we have about 1 million ground squirrels who love to eat all that stuff. So
Oh,
so there are, it's funny, but it's really fun. It's been really super fun to be part of this agricultural scene that creates such a beautiful thing like wine that tastes all different. Like Stephanie, I'm sure you've been to wine tastings because you live out in the Hamptons sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're all different and the whole bit.
Yeah. And aren't you surprised that you could be tasting, like what kind of wine do they make up there? What kind mostly?
Well, they make red and white. We have a new-ish winery called Sparkling Point, which I would like to go to this summer because I have to try
Yeah.
it, and it's very posh and, so I'm looking to try that. But I would say a lot of reds and whites. They'll do Cabernets, Merlots, maybe some Syrahs, but like the basic reds and whites,
Okay.
basically,
Let's take Merlot as a wine that a lot of people know. Isn't it shocking that from winery to winery, they will taste so different?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the Merlots will taste different. So you can think that, oh, I like Chardonnay. But then you'll find out that every winery's Chardonnay tastes entirely different. And
Correct. Yeah.
that's the winemaker who is like a chef who is figuring out, and that's what I talk about that's the story that these two women bring to the table, is they figured out how to combine all these different grapes to make beautiful tastes. So you're tasting someone's recipe, and they know where the grapes came from. Like right now, I'm looking up at the mountain. We have vineyards up on the mountain, and we have vineyards on the valley, and they know where to pick them and which grapes to combine to make a beautiful wine. I think that too, that and audiobooks are two two amazing inventions to me.
I agree. Now, with the Madame Pommery book, we kind of touched on this the last time we spoke, but I want to go over it again because I think it's like unbelievable about how the winery was built, where the winery was built. Can you
Oh
go
yeah.
into that a little bit?
Oh yeah, that's really fun. I don't have my picture. You guys have to if you go to my Amazon page where they're selling the book Madame Pommery, you will see pictures of what I'm going to talk about. So it's very exciting. So what happened is in 1870, sorry, the Prussian French war broke out, and the Prussians immediately inhabited all of France for 2 years. And not only that, but Madame Pommery was just starting out with her wine, and the General Francis, took over her house and her winery. And so all in the town of Reims, which we pronounce as Reims in the U.S. It's Reims here and it's Reims there. So they took over her entire winery and they were drinking all her wine. So she was amazing and figured out how to hide all her wine without them knowing. And there is a hill in town, a butte, and called Butte Nissace. And she went around to the back and she dug tunnels. Actually, they didn't have to dig them out entirely because they existed. I'll explain that in a second. But in the back entrance, she excavated these criers that were already existing and she hid all her wine. And guess what? It happened to be the city dump. So her wine, her wine was hidden under the city dump. Well, I couldn't make that up, right? If I had written,
I know. Yeah, you wouldn't
no,
have thought of that. No.
never. I would say, well, no one in the world would ever believe that, but she did that. So she took the city dump and no one would believe that all of her wine was there. And so if you go on Amazon, you'll see a picture of those caves that are under the city dump and that are still there. And you will also see her amazing castle that she built. And this was a brand new thing too. So today, Stephanie, we can all go wine tasting at a beautiful place and be treated nicely. They didn't do that in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided that being a woman, I think, she decided that she wanted things to be right. And I
Right.
want a
Yes.
beautiful experience. And wait until you see her amazing blue castle. And she made it Scottish. It's a Scottish English looking castle. And the reason she did that is because she had gone to finishing schools in England and she had a lot of rich Scottish royal friends that she wanted to come to her winery in France. And so when you think back to 1860 and they were not allowed to even own businesses, women were not allowed to own business,
Mm-hmm.
how she managed to arrange all that and build in a really tough time, really tough economic time, how she managed to build this
Yeah,
castle.
it's unbelievable how she was able to do it. Just unbelievable.
So when we think our lives are a little tough, then then I say, okay, well, they did something grand, so I can write a novel.
That's true. That's true. And I love how she incorporated all the artwork and, she wanted, fine things and stuff. And to this day now people they're doing it,
Yeah,
they're adding in all that stuff, and a lot of it has to do with her.
yeah. So if you go to the Champagne region of France, you can go to both of these wineries, Pommery, and in the Pommery winery, they now have an art gallery down in those criers. They're called criers and they're like caves down there. And so they change that art exhibit every year. And so I could go back every year and have a whole new experience. So you're down under what used to be the city dump and you're seeing these amazing artworks, that modern artworks. But she, in that time, and I have this on Amazon and on my website. My website is rebecca-rosenberg.com. So there are lots of good pictures there. She had gorgeous, they call them bas reliefs. So big stone reliefs carved out of the walls, and they are still there. So these
Wow.
are huge. They're like 30 feet wide and 10 feet high, and they're all these beautiful pictures of parties, champagne parties and things like that. So you can go there, and it costs all of, I don't know, $10 or something to, or it might be like $20 or something to go and taste champagne and see those things. So it's really worthwhile. And the other one is then the Veuve Clicquot,
Yes.
and that is a great experience too. But actually, if you only could go to one, I'd go to Pommery because of the art and that experience.
Absolutely. That's on my bucket list.
All right. Well, we should get a book and wine lovers wine tour together.
No.
I know we do. I know you know this, but I do wine tours in Champagne. I lead them and plan them and all that good stuff. So I could do one for us.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be so cool because you already know all this stuff. Been there,
Yeah.
done that. You know where to go and not to go and, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I do. And I know the different kinds, and we've done it before. So we do it with my friend's champagne winery here in California, and it's called Breathless. I'll show you that bottle.
Yes.
And that bottle, by the way, is, whoops, there we go.
Yes.
So this is Breathless Wines. And we're actually doing another, and notice that label is my cover of Champagne Widows. And these covers of mine are actually posters from that era. So they're not modern. People have thought they're like from the 20s, but they're not. So they're of that era, and they're champagne posters of the time. But we have Breathless Wines has another tour that we're doing next July. So if you want to do a wine tour with me, you can go to Breathless Wines. But I do like the idea of getting books in there, Stephanie. That's your
I'm
next.
right. I was writing it down. Sorry, I wasn't not paying attention to you.
No, I think we should. That would be so much fun to get readers and put books, certain books that go with the region. We could even.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, even like with the book tour, so many people were in, there was one reader who went out of her way. She went to, I can't remember where she was, but she had where you press for champagne.
Yeah.
I don't remember where it was, but she purposely she wanted to have the audio book so she could take a picture just for that. I mean, she was so invested in it.
Yeah.
She would be a perfect person for that because she probably would want to go and learn more about the champagne and stuff. So I love that.
Absolutely. Well, a lot. What I'm surprised about, because I live here in wine country, is that not everyone's into champagne or wine. But we're all getting older, and it's a really beautiful art form. Really, the fact that they make these beautiful wines, and I
noticed also at the wineries, they are creating now. I don't know what the term is, but like a mock wine where it tastes like wine, but doesn't have any alcohol in it. Like there's a particular winery we go to a lot called Wolfer, and they make Pacific, like mocktail wines for the people who don't drink wine, and they could still have a really good time, even though they don't drink the alcohol.
I think that's a trend. And my friend at Breathless has one of those as well.
Yeah, why not let them get?
Yes. Oh, I just kind of lost you, but then I got you back.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. If anyone in the chat has any questions about Madame Pommery or Champagne Widows, please let me know. I am doing a third novel in the series next year. And I'm also doing, when I finish the novel I'm working on right now, I'm going to be writing some nonfiction champagne books, some gift books. Yeah, so like small gift books that will have beautiful pictures and teach about champagne without it being like a big giant volume,
No,
like quick
I agree.
read. Yeah.
Something more like layman's
Yeah.
terms and something they could digest easily.
Yes. And that would be fun to give girlfriends. So I'm going to do that next.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Now back to the third book. Is there a title, or you can't give that away,
Well,
or you don't know yet?
okay. I have, it's about Madame Bollinger, and I don't know if people could read this, but here is what she's famous for saying. This is one of her famous quotes. Can you read that, Stephanie, or not?
It's backwards.
Oh,
You can read it to us if you'd like.
I'm going to read it because it's really, uh, it's my favorite quote about
Oh,
champagne. So here she is. I only drink champagne when I'm happy and when I'm sad. Sometimes I drink it when I'm alone. And when I have company, I consider it obligatory. I trifle with it if I'm not hungry, and I drink it when I am. Otherwise, I never touch it unless I'm thirsty.
in other words, she's drinking 24/7.
That's right. That's right. So she's a whole different story than these two, and so I'm very excited to get started on that too. Her husband died in World War II, and they had a very established winery, but she had to go through many things like phylloxera. Have you heard of phylloxera? That was a bug. That is a bug that destroyed the entire French champagne industry because it ruined their vines. And Bollinger, that's their champagne, that was the only ones who could save any of their vines. So she had to go through that, and she had to go through a lot of the like worker strikes. This was before, workers had rights and all of that. So that was cool. They came up with what they needed to do for workers. So, but the thing that will be more exciting than all of that to read is that she brought her wine, Bollinger, into James Bond. And
Oh,
so, yeah, if you look, it's in all the James Bond movies and it's in the books as well. And
interesting.
so she was a fashionista. So she's in the 40s, 45 and 55 and 65. So she was like a worldwide fashionista. And apparently she had her premiere for her new wine that she came up with at the in Venice, and we're going there next week. So I'm researching
Okay, wait,
her.
wait. We got to go back for a second. You're going to Venice, even
Yes,
though you broke your hip,
yes,
right? How
yes.
long ago?
6 weeks ago, yay! So I'm walking. You see that I'm walking now. 6 weeks. So if you break your hip, if you break it like I did, you'll be walking again in 6 weeks.
Oh, God
Yeah.
bless you. You really recovered fast.
I did, and I worked out. It was hard, but if you're a writer, it's a good thing because you have something to keep you busy. I wrote longer, like I wrote 8 to 10 hours a day during that time. So that was really a godsend that I had a book to work on.
So you made lemonade out of lemon. You know what I mean? You
Or
really did.
or wine out of sour grapes or something.
Yes, I love it. Of course you would say that. Of course. That is terrific. That is such an inspirational thing right there, Instead
Oh,
of,
thank you.
whoa, I broke my hip. What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. You like that?
Write a book.
Let's write a book. Keep on bringing the champagne while I write.
Yeah, I did not give up champagne. I did not give up champagne. I asked the doctor, should I not drink alcohol? And he said, everyone here drinks wine. You cannot live here and not drink wine. It's just part of the thing. He says, no, I think it'll make you feel better. Okay. Okay, I'll go with that.
That is so fun. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on. Are there any last things that you would like to say? Because I know you have to run out
Yeah.
for your
Well,
own wine little girls thing you
yes.
have going on.
I just want to, I want to hear from everybody about audiobooks and whether you would like me to continue. I have another book that I could do on audio, so I want to see if everyone likes that. And that's this one, The Gold Digger, Baby Doe Tabor. And
Yes.
if everyone wants more audiobooks, I will do that one next. It's costly too.
No, I know.
It costs you. Yeah.
And everything's only going up. Nothing is getting lower. So
No,
it's like if you don't do it now, you know next year it's going to be higher.
I'm sure, but now I have confidence because these two books turned out really well. So I have confidence in doing it at least, because that's what was holding me back is, oh, I don't want to try this.
No,
But it worked out.
a lot. It's a lot of money, a lot of work, a lot of
Yeah.
time, so much time invested,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, thank
I
you
think,
so much.
an audiobook lover, I think it's worth it, but, I'm not the one paying for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just getting the one book. I'm not paying for the whole shebang,
Yeah, it's true. Well, there's one thing about writing books, you don't make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be lucky if you make anything. So you have to love it, and I do. So that's what my husband luckily supports me in that, and so I'm having a great time doing it.
No, you're absolutely right. A lot of people think that, if you're a writer, oh, well, they're all like Stephen King, no. No.
No. And
No.
even I have friends who have big publishers, and it doesn't always relate to money. So you have to love it. So the authors that do it love it. Unless you got
And those are where you
something.
find the really good books,
I think so. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. I'm glad you persevered because it worked.
Hey, I'm so happy. Just takes a little patience, but we got it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Always
you.
so
Enjoy.
much fun with you.
Oh,
And
I
everybody.
always have fun with you too. We're gonna have you on again and again and again because I need an excuse to drink more champagne.
Okay. Well, remember to keep commenting, everybody, and whenever Stephanie says, we'll pick 5 winners.
Yes, and I'm going to ask the question about the audiobooks as well.
Okay.
When I do the post a video.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a great time.
Okay.
Bye.